Here we are at 1208 Briarwood in Fort Collins. It's a relatively quiet street. You can hear a little bit of road noise, particularly just this morning. You're pretty far off from the main road, but just something to note, you can just hear it like kind of a river. Not bad enough to where I would say it's terrible. Neighbor-wise, you pretty much got all rentals around here. Most of them don't take care of the yards. Most of them have a little less care taken to them than other neighborhoods we've looked at. But overall, let's jump into this house. Exterior wise, it's looking like they actually did some touch-up work since the last time I was here. Looks like the paint's been pretty much well corrected in some areas. There's still some small little things here and there on the exterior paint that you'll have to address at some point. Some of the trim and some small items where just there's some nicks and scrapes and scratches. It's just like small things like this where they got just holes from screws, things like that that'll need to be caulked and repainted. Looks like there's been some hammer damage as well around here and there. But overall, looking pretty good. One of the biggest issues is the trim underneath the gutters. It does not look like that's been painted in a long time, so that would just need to be painted at some point. But coming out, one of the big things is the pine tree that does overhang the house. They have trimmed it to keep it off the roof, but it is pretty dang close to the house. So at some point it could cause an issue. I haven't seen anything just yet, but just something to note that at some point it might be worth taking that out or keeping it trimmed up. Concrete coming up is in pretty good shape. No major cracking. There's a little bit of cracking at the end, but not as bad as some of the other ones we've seen. Coming around the side here. This is where some of the paint needs a little bit of love, or some of the boarding out here would need some love at some point. There's just some areas where it did end up getting some weather damage at some point or another, and the boards got a little squishy in certain areas, especially down below. Replacing that board at some point and keeping it well painted is a good idea. We'll check out the backyard here in just a little bit. Other little just small pieces as well. There's just some trim boards, in particular this one right here. That one just needs to be replaced at some point. But overall, it looks like they went in and kind of cleaned up the outside compared to the last time I was here. It looks like they maybe went in and redid some painting. We'll just swing over to the other side really quick. Try and get you a better look at the house as we go across here. Roof looks like it's actually in pretty good condition. A little bit of paint work needs to be done on the big part of the main house up front. And then swinging over to the side where the fireplace is at. Like I said, there's just some areas where it could use a little love. Down in that area, doesn't look like it's been painted for a while. And just a few little chips and nicks overall, but this paint job could last you 5 to 7 years before you really actually need to redo it. Well, we'll head on inside, guys, and start that process and see what you guys think. All right, stepping inside, you run straight into the living room right off the bat. Living room's actually in pretty good shape. Last time I was here, like I said, it smelled quite a bit. I think she must have gotten some of the tenants out since the last time I was here. House smells a lot better, actually. It doesn't smell like they've been smoking weed and other things in here. It actually smells cleaner now. Windows are all in pretty decent shape. Floors are actually looking a lot better too as well. Paint's in pretty good shape. There's some areas where they've had some drips or they've put a lot of paint over the top over time, and it's just caused some dripping and some different texturing on the wall over time. You do have a small coat closet right off the front here. It's probably about 6 foot long, 2.5 foot deep. A little bit of foot shelving here. You can see down here just little trim pieces that have been knocked off. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, it looks like they've done a lot of cleaning up since I was in here last time. Looks really good. Ceiling height is at 8 feet. They did go in and get rid of popcorn ceiling in here. Did a really good job on the ceiling in the living room. Flooring's in pretty decent shape. One thing that I did remember from this last time is that the flooring has multiple different floorings in here. The one in the living room looks like it's in really good shape at this time. They had a lot of rugs in it last time, and it couldn't see as much of it, but it looks like it's in pretty good shape. It does transition over into a different flooring to the kitchen. Just a note, your transition right there is broken, so something to replace at some point in time. Coming into the kitchen. Kitchen has a lot of potential in here, a lot of space for here. So you could definitely make this a really nice IKEA kitchen, kind of like you guys talked about before. They did put recessed lighting in here. They did scrape the popcorn ceilings in here, but they didn't do as good of a job on the popcorn ceilings where you still see some of the popcorn texture on the wall. They tried to get most of it off, but just didn't happen. Coming into the kitchen, actually looking at the drawers, stovetop. I would suggest stovetop at some point replace. It probably works for now and is just fine, but definitely could use some love at some point. Vent hood. I think that's one thing I remember. Yeah, this vent hood does not vent outside. It literally just sucks the smoke up or the smell of the food and then just blows it around the house. So that's one thing that would be noted in an inspection, just stating that the vent hood does not vent to the outside. Refrigerator's in decent shape. It's just on the smaller side. It's an Insignia fridge, a Mana stovetop. Cabinets, they're the originals. They've been painted. Looks like they were hand painted, and that's something I do remember from last time as well, is that they just weren't done up to very good par. It's going to be hard to tell from the photos, but there's just little pieces, nicks, drips, other things like that. So the cabinets could work for a while, but updating those and upgrading those with the countertops that are laminate would be a good deal. But it is something you could live with and then do it as time goes on. Floor in the kitchen is looking in pretty decent shape as well. Don't see any major issues. It's a little scratched here and there, little pieces here and there, but nothing crazy. This part of the room, I personally think could get a little bit of retouch on paint. It is all grayed out. Everything in the house is gray, but there are starting to be nicks, scrapes, and dings on the wall, just like a typical rental. Coming into the back kind of living room area, another great space. Carpet in here smells a lot better. The last time I was in here, it smelled a lot like a cat, and so the smell in here has gotten a lot better since last time. Ceiling in here has also been gotten the popcorn gone, and then you just got small little drywall repairs here, where they just weren't professionally done. So cleaning up the drywall at some point in here would make a big difference. You have other things like electrical outlets where they've been toasted and burned at some point or another. And so getting those replaced would be a big help, and actually getting them grounded would be a good thing. More than likely they aren't grounded. But really good room. Not really a TV room, because you could put a TV like right here on this wall, but that's about it. And you could put a couch in here, but it's a really nice bright open room, big windows. You got three new windows. The sliding door at some point could use some love as well. And then you do have a original window right here that is all wooden. And it is looks like it is actually a single pane window in here. So this window right here could be using a replacement at some point. Pop out to the garage really quick. So your garage, you have your dryer is out here. The washing machine is inside. Just got it running right now. But looks like they did put a new door in at some point. The exterior of it is in a little rougher shape than the interior. It looks like they put a newer Craftsman probably in the last 10 years. This is a little bit more of an oversized one-car garage, so really good for storage. You also do have a little bit of storage up here as well, and could make more storage up there if you needed extra storage. They also have these built-in cabinets across here for storage. You could definitely pull in you couldn't pull in a truck because of the height of the garage door, but you can pull in a small SUV and it would fit in here just fine with extra storage and extra space for like a little workshop. But that door, just to note, is probably right at about 7 foot. It's not an 8-foot door, so getting any type of larger vehicle in here would be an issue. And if you ever wanted to, and you probably couldn't raise up the garage door any taller because there's not enough room from the bottom of this garage door or the top of this garage door up to the ceiling. So your garage door would have to stay at that height. So just something small to think about. We'll just peek out here just to show you. They built kind of a makeshift little greenhouse storage area out here. Works just fine. They have a couple of the screen doors in here. A little messy. Obviously not waterproof, so all these beams right here have had water penetration. They're just going to decay over time, so potentially taking this off or replacing or making it a little bit nicer would definitely help the house. And then this is the exterior of that one window that had some issues. That was that single pane window. It's just in a little rougher condition. Hasn't been taken care of. So again, that's just one window I would replace at some point. While we're out here, we might as well jump outside before I go upstairs. So deck just needs repainting, re-cleaning up, retouch up. The exterior paint on the rear is probably where it's the worst. The trim is in need of some love. Gutters haven't been taken care of back here because of how many leaves and other things that have been through here. So the gutters will need to be cleaned out. You've had some retouch up paint since I've actually been here last. So let me try and show you. Actually, you can see it. So let me get my finger. So right here, this stuff wasn't all done last time. So the exterior trim board, and I'm going to feel it again, it's very soft. And so replacing some of this exterior trim board at some point is going to be a big help on just solidifying the exterior part of this house. Same as up here as well. You can just see where, unfortunately, the paint has been left and hadn't been taken care of. And so it just needs a little bit of love. Same as the trim boards that are down along the edge here. They've just haven't been painted, so they're starting to deteriorate away. Backyard is actually a decent shape, very landscape, so you can see you got a lot of privacy back here. You can kind of see this neighbor because of the chain link fence. The neighbor behind, though, looks like they put in a brand new 6-foot privacy fence, which looks really nice. Here's another really bad section of paint. So yeah, going in here, I don't know if you can see me doing it or not, but it is just so squishy in there. So replacing that whole trim board underneath that gutter would make a heck of a difference. But deck is solid, just needs love, just needs some repainting. Or I would personally strip all the paint off and probably stain it myself if it was me. Stain would make it look a lot better. And then the exterior part of this area, trim is in okay condition, but the trim or the siding of the house, just like the other area, could use a little bit of love as well. And then the back side, this actually wall looks like it's been in pretty good shape, and looks like they also touched up this side a little bit as well. So they've gone in and done a little bit of work since I've been here last. Probably were getting complaints and things like that, so they probably tried to do some of the work that I thought was going to make it tough for this house to sell at the price point that it was originally at. One thing to note, my head's pretty much touching these lap boards, so this deck versus the little pergola here is pretty tight. And then we'll just peek around this corner really quick. I'm trying to stay out of the mud the best I can here. And then over here, we already looked at this side, but I just thought I'd show you guys one more time since we were in the back. All right, we're going to just head back through the garage and take a look at the upstairs and the downstairs. All right, so back in the kitchen here, trying to look through the other side. Only other thing I didn't mention is at some point it's an LG dishwasher, so it could be replaced at some point. I don't know how long those have been around. We'll go check up the upstairs and then do the downstairs last. So stairs are original. They probably had carpet on them at one point, but it's just your basic wood. They've been a little beat up, but they've tried to keep them at least somewhat nice. Coming straight up, again, just all the paint in here, and this is what kind of I know is going to be a pain, but you got a bunch of little paint drips here. I mean, all over the wall, even downstairs, you'll see them. It's just something that you would, it just takes a little more time to clean up and fix. Trim around this house as well is in that kind of same condition where it's been painted a lot. So going in and repainting some of this stuff could be a little bit of a challenge to smooth it out and make it look a little more professional. But bathroom, tiles in pretty good shape. It's that dark green. Countertop is a granite tile countertop. Ceilings in here are in good or tall too as well. They're at 8 foot. At some point, you probably want to change out your fan in here. It's in pretty gross condition, so I would always just change that out at some point. Tiled bathroom or tiled shower all the way up. Caulk work in here. Really bad caulk work around the tile. So at some point, it would be a good idea to get that cleaned up and replaced. They were just doing it just to keep everything cleaned out. And then the tub in here, your faucet is leaking, so the faucet at some point would need to be replaced, the valve for it. And the tub is in pretty rough condition as well. It's pretty gross, so you could probably get it pretty cleaned up quickly on that side, but just small things to note. Trim on the door. You can see, because it's been painted so many times, you're just getting little chips and nicks over it over time. And then you do have a little linen closet that she's using for a cleaning closet. Actually a good sized linen closet, so good shape there. Door's a little hard to operate. Then you do have a little medicine cabinet on the far side as well. Small little things again. Drywall work needs a little love, but nothing crazy. It does have a whole house fan here. I don't know where the switch is. I'm going to try this switch right here really quick. Yep. So whole house fan, always nice to have. This house so far, from what I can tell, does not have AC. I'll have to double check on that really quick and just let you guys know via text message. When it comes to not having an AC unit, if you guys want to do an AC unit, you do the split unit, or you could spend about 12 grand to put an actual full furnace AC unit in here. And so now I'm remembering here, weird trim board along the ceiling here, really poorly done. I would rip all that out and just get it repainted. I don't know if there's any issues behind that wood right there. I think that was one thing that I remember did scare me a little bit. The fact that they went out and put this massive trim up there. I'm just not sure the reason why and what was the reason behind it. But up here, it actually smells so much better than it used to. It smells like they really did a cleaning. It smells like they must have carpet cleaned or did something. So up here, it actually smells clean and inviting now. Good sized closet. It's about 10 foot, probably about 10 foot long there, 2.5 foot deep. And good space. This bedroom does face towards the back of the house, towards the east. And this room's going to stay a little bit darker since that backyard is so covered up during the summertime with foliage that it's just going to stay darker and cooler in that room. I forgot to mention size-wise. So size-wise, that is a twin mattress, or a full, I guess is probably the better way to put it. Easily could put a queen in here. This is probably one of your bigger bedrooms. Easily could fit a dresser. King bed, though. A king bed would make this pretty tight. I think you could still do it. You just have to have it shoved over to this side of the room a little bit more to create more space, because in between the closet and the bed, that's where it would get a little bit of a challenge to fit a king-size bed in there. Windows up here look like they're in good shape as well. They've also left the windows open, so I wonder if that's kind of helping with the cat smell and the smoking smell. Second bedroom looks like is the main bedroom she's living in. Definitely on the smaller end of bedrooms. This is another full-size bed, it looks like. And they have it tucked up against the wall because it just to create as much space as possible. They also did the weird trim in here as well. And so again, rip all that trim down from the upper part of the ceiling and refinish that would make this look so much better. Smoke alarms, from what I can tell, are just battery operated smoke alarms. They're not actually hardwired into the house. That's something that might come up in an inspection. And then closet wise, a little bit on the smaller side of the closet. They do have some like foot shelving on the side there. But in terms of size wise, you're probably about 4 foot long, 2.5 foot deep. But they did put a little bit of extra shelving in here because this was a little bit smaller. That's pretty much it for this room. I definitely couldn't fit a king in here. Queen is probably the biggest you'd get into this room. And that's about it for this area. Paint in here, by the time she pulls all their posters down, unless they repaint, there's going to be quite a few pinhole tack marks in here. And then this does face towards the west, towards the front of the home. And then we'll head over to the last bedroom. Last bedroom, fully emptied, so someone ended up moving out at some point. Carpet, everything in here smells inviting. This is the only room that does not have that trim work up on the ceiling and top of the walls. They did put a little bit of wallpaper in here. It's a green textured wallpaper. Very poorly done. It's all weirdly angled and just not done professionally. Probably one of the gals did it here at one point. So probably take that out and then repaint over it. No fans, but no popcorn ceilings either. No screens as well up on this main floor except for I think the first 2 bedrooms. So this bedroom, no screen, does face towards the west. You could fit a queen in here as well. It would definitely be tighter. This one is a little bit bigger than the other room, but you can definitely do it. And then closet-wise, no door for the closet, but it's almost a little, this is actually a deeper closet. It's probably 3 foot deep and about 5 foot long. And that is it for the top floor. We'll head down and go check out the bottom floor and call it a day. Yeah, the house does, I mean, it is amazing how much better this house does smell. It is shocking me. But, all right, let's run through it really quick. So this is kind of like your main living room area for downstairs. Flooring, I have seen better flooring. It's an LPV. It looks like it was poorly put in. I would rip that out immediately and change it. There's just some pretty big gaps in between the LPV pieces where it just doesn't look good. They did shiplap in here. I bet this was the old oak wood shiplap that they used to do back in the day in basements. It's pretty dark in here, so I do apologize. But it's got holes. They never ended up finishing it out by caulking or putting wood glue where the nail gun went in to secure the wood. So it just looks kind of beat up and rugged in here. So this is one area where I would probably pull all that wood out. Hopefully there should be drywall behind it, or I'd go in and get a professional to come in here and refinish this wood professionally and make it look a lot nicer. I'd also probably want to, put some recessed lighting in here, or better lights than what they got in here with these little string lights. You got small things where you got some nicks and scratches, some paint pulling away, drywall pulling away where there were some issues. And then this was just kind of a rough wood. So you got spots like this, where it just doesn't, it's not a professionally done basement area. But we'll jump into the bathroom. So bathroom wise, same green tile as upstairs, just the bigger ones, 12 by 12s. You do have your washer down here. Let me see if they had I can't remember if they had the 220. So no 220 for a dryer, so that's why they had the dryer up in the garage. So you'd have to end up adding a 220 line in to run a dishwasher or a dryer, clothes dryer, and have your clothes washer in the same location. Otherwise, that clothes dryer will have to stay in the garage. Little understair storage there. It's really dark, so I'm going to try my best to get a better video. This is probably the same exact wood that was in the main living room area. You got the tenant special seal with the foam. It would just need to be cleaned up and repainted over. I personally would go in and just re-drywall this whole basement. It's just in need of it at this point. Another thing, this door does not operate correctly. You can't open it all the way, so you just need to go in and re-trim up that door a little bit. And then water heater is definitely on the older side, copper lined. Doesn't have some of the new regulations that are needed for a water heater. You're starting to have some corroding on the copper lines as well. And so a water heater at some point definitely could use a little bit of love. Window in here though, good shape window. Looks like that's actually a newer window that they put in. Shower in here is also is in good shape as well. It looks like they don't ever use this shower. And so it's really clean, very well kept. Shower head could use a replacement because it's just a baby little tiny shower head. Ceiling in here is pretty tight. You're probably like 7'5", 7'6" in here, so it does feel a little bit tighter in here. Toilet moves around a little bit, so it shakes and wobbles, so it just would need to be replanted down and resecured a little more. And then your sink is just your basic old sink. I'd probably just go in and probably replace that with the Home Depot special. And then only other thing is they really went in, they must have been having some type of mice problem at some point. So they went in and filled a lot of these gaps, or maybe they were getting air coming through. So they filled all these gaps with foam. So bathroom definitely could use a little bit of love. Flooring could use a little bit of love, and the walls in the basement could use a little love. Actual wood burning fireplace, pretty cool little fireplace there. So hopefully it's still operational. Trim work down here, again, paint wise, just needs some work. It's something that you guys will just have to see in person. It's kind of hard to see on a camera. Last bedroom downstairs by itself, does have an egress window and closet, so it is conforming. Flooring in here needs to be fully replaced as well. Trim in here is in pretty rough shape as well. They just put your $25 Home Depot LED light in here, and it just needs to be fully repainted. It's a little more of a beat up room. Probably they were using it as an office at some point. But this does face towards the east in the backyard. It is ground level basement, so it's actually pretty bright here for having a basement bedroom. And then closet. Nothing much major to say. It's about 6 foot, 7 foot long, 2.5 foot deep. Been all repainted gray, just slathered on. And so closet at some point could use some love because the wood in there is a little beat up and rough. You do have both of your clean outs in here. You have one clean out right here for your, looks for like it's going to be for your laundry machine, and then, or for your clothes washer. And that's going to be your main clean out for your sewer line. It's all been painted over, so when they crack that open at some point, it would just end up needing to be repainted. Other than that, that's really it, guys. Nothing major else to note. They do have a little crawl space I forgot to mention. Like I said, they just used to be smokers over here, so I mean, it just used to. They haven't obviously been smoking for a while because it doesn't smell nearly as bad as it used to. And then they do have their crawl space. I don't think I'm going to be able to get my light on. Oh, here, there we go, just a second. So here's your crawl space. Pretty dark down here, but it actually does create extra storage. Your main water line is right there. Again, it's pretty dark. And then you got a sub pump down here, and your furnace is down here as well. And so you just have to come down here to do oil changes and filter changes at some point. And then if this house did come back high on radon, you would end up just having to go in there at some point and redo the radon. Well, that is it, guys. Let me know if you have thoughts, any questions, concerns, anything like that, and we'll be in touch. Thanks so much.